Hi, I'm Weiss Kroolikowski, a founder and partner at FirmTrack Solutions. And we were reading an article today, or actually over the past week. We've been covering several articles, and the particular one we kind of want to talk about today is about the far-reaching tax reconciliation bill in the House Ways and Means Committee. They have dubbed it One Big Beautiful Bill. So it includes some of the campaign promises made last year by President Trump, such as exempting tax on tips, overtime pay, and providing some tax breaks for seniors. They don't get into specifics in the article, but they talk about tax incentives for domestic manufacturing. And at the same time, they're also talking about phasing out renewable energy from the Biden administration. So, and the Inflation Reduction Act. So there's a lot of business-related provisions in this bill, and I think that businesses are going to have a lot to chew on. I'm imploring you to please pay attention to what is going on in the House Ways and Means Committee, because this is going to affect us all, probably starting in 2026. So some businesses may benefit, and there may be some disadvantages. It's just things that we need to really pay attention to. So one of the proposals is doing away with amortization and just making the depreciation the law of the land, so to speak, and immediate expensing of those items instead of depreciating them over time. There's a number of provisions that are going to limit benefits to foreign-owned businesses. So similarly, many of the tax benefits are limited for immigrants. And they're requiring that in order to have the tax credits for children, that you have to possess a Social Security number, both parents, whoever is filing for the child, plus the child must also have a Social Security number. So the discussion is going to continue. And of course, the biggest probably issue that it's an ongoing debate is on the cap on state and local taxes, also known as the SALT initiative. So there have been a lot of objections raised to this. They want to go from 10,000 to 30,000. So there's a lot of issues going on, but they seem to think it's one big, beautiful bill. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
As far as what I would have to input at it at this point is it's still very much up for debate. Nothing's finalized. They're in the negotiation stages, but they just finally released like version 0.01 before they have to go to all their committees and negotiate. So this is a slew of changes are on the table, and everything's up for being added or cut, because the name of the game is finding the $850 million cut that they need for their tax cuts. So any and all things are on the table, and they're actively debating it. So keep your eye on it, but you wouldn't have to be too stressed about any single provision at this point. Rich, what do you kind of think of what Congress has been talking about with the tax bill in 2025?
The thing that I've been looking at the most and watching is just what they're going to do with solar, renewable energy, and other type of green power production, and whether or not the federal government's going to continue to subsidize the implementation and installation of these types of technologies, or if they're going to remove those incentives, and what that is going to do to maybe small business owners or business owners that were really thinking about going to some sort of a solar application or wind application. I think it also impacts current programs or current construction projects where there's been grants applied for. Those grants may not be available. Those funds may not actually come to fruition based upon what this bill is doing. So for me, I think it's curious just to kind of follow what they're doing with, I guess, efficient solar energy and how that's going to end up impacting kind of the growth of that sector and how it's going to impact small businesses moving forward.
Yeah, and then one thing on that too, there's cascade effects for all these provisions, because even that, if they get rid of wind subsidies, I work with a few attorneys who do a lot of wind leasing, So if that dries up, that might be something to consider if you're in that industry in your area where you're involved in the legal side of getting all those arrangements made out. So definitely something to keep your eye on, because it's got far-reaching unknown implications for years in the future, depending on what they pass. So what is your comment on the big, beautiful bill? Do you have any tax provisions you're keeping your eye on? Leave us what you're looking at in the comments. You can find us anywhere this is posted at FirmTrack.